Every once in a while, a story emerges from the world of coins that makes collectors and everyday people stop in their tracks, because it completely reshapes the way they think about money that passes through their hands every single day. One of those stories belongs to a small coin, one that most of us barely notice when it jingles in our pockets or hides in a change jar at home. I'm talking about the 1982 Roosevelt Dime, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents, yet one that has varieties and rarities so shocking that it has fetched between $39,000 and $132,500 at auction. Imagine holding what you think is just pocket change, only to realize you're actually holding a life-changing discovery. That is the magic of this coin. To understand why the 1982 dime carries such extraordinary value in certain forms, we need to step back and look at the story of how and why it was made. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death the year before. The coin quickly became a staple of American coinage, but by the time the 1980s rolled around, something unexpected was happening at the U.S. Mint. In 1980, the Mint introduced the practice of including a mint mark on dimes struck in Philadelphia for the very first time. Up until that point, coins from Philadelphia had gone without mint marks. Suddenly, collectors were able to see that small P on their dimes, setting them apart. But when 1982 came, a mistake happened that turned ordinary coins into priceless rarities. In 1982, the Mint accidentally released dimes struck in Philadelphia without the P mint mark. What this meant was that a batch of coins entered circulation looking just like pre-1980 dimes, with no letter under the year to indicate where they were minted. But unlike earlier dimes without a mint mark, these were not supposed to exist. And in numismatics, a coin that was never supposed to exist can change everything. Suddenly, collectors realized that what appeared to be just another Roosevelt dime could actually be a rare and valuable error. The No-S 1982 Roosevelt dime became one of the most sought-after modern errors in U.S. coinage. The initial discovery was made by collectors examining new bank-wrapped rolls of coins. It was subtle. If you weren't looking closely, you might not have noticed. But for those who spotted it, the shock was immediate. This was an error unlike any in recent history, and it soon became the talk of the numismatic community. As word spread, demand skyrocketed. Collectors everywhere began checking their dimes from 1982, hoping to uncover one of these mistakes. And while some were found, the truth is that very few made it into circulation compared to the millions of standard dimes struck that year. That scarcity is what makes them so valuable today. Auction results tell the story best. Over the years, certified high-grade examples of the 1982 No-S Roosevelt dime have sold for astonishing amounts, ranging from $39,000 for strong condition examples to a record-breaking $132,500 for pristine, top-graded specimens. Think about that for a moment. A 10-cent coin, something most people would overlook or even drop on the sidewalk without noticing, sold for more than the cost of a brand-new luxury car or even a down payment on a house. That's the thrill of this coin. But how exactly does a missing mint mark translate into such a fortune? It comes down to the rules of rarity and condition. First, the error itself, the missing P, creates a distinct variety that collectors want in their sets. Second, the number of surviving coins in top condition is incredibly small. Circulation wore down most of the ones that were found, but a handful were preserved, either by chance or because alert collectors recognized their significance right away. When those high-grade survivors are certified and enter the auction block, they become the centerpieces of bidding wars. There's also the element of storytelling that adds to the value. Collectors love a good narrative, and the 1982 No-S dime has one of the best in modern U.S. coin history. It tells the story of a minting mistake during a transitional period for coinage. It highlights the importance of paying attention to small details that most people ignore. And most importantly, it gives hope to everyday hobbyists that at any moment, they could stumble across a dime worth tens of thousands of dollars. That dream fuels demand as much as the coin itself. What makes this story even more fascinating is that most people alive today have handled 1982 dimes without realizing it. Millions were struck that year, both with and without the mint mark. The vast majority are worth just face value. But hidden among them are the select few No-S dimes that could change everything. Even today, decades after their discovery, collectors still check their change and their old jars of coins, hoping to find one. Stories circulate of people who unknowingly held one of these rarities for years, only to later discover its value. One collector recounted finding one in a collection passed down from family, a dime that ultimately sold for more than $50,000. Another case involved a roll of 1982 dimes purchased at a flea market for a few dollars. Inside was the coveted No-P error that later went to auction for nearly six figures. What does this mean for you? It means that the potential for discovery is still alive. Even though most of the known examples have surfaced, coins have a way of hiding in plain sight. Some are tucked away in jars, safes, or old bank rolls that haven't been opened for decades. Others may still slip through circulation, appearing as ordinary dimes until someone takes a closer look. And if that someone happens to be you, you could find yourself holding a dime worth anywhere between $39,000 and $132,500. The Roosevelt dime itself, beyond just this error, has a place of importance in American history. Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy is cemented on the obverse of this coin, honoring the president who guided the country through the Great Depression and World War II, and who championed the March of Dimes to fight polio. That connection adds an emotional and historical weight to the coin, making its rare errors even more desirable. Collectors don't just see a mistake. They see a piece of history layered with meaning. Imagine, for a moment, being the one to discover such a coin. The excitement of noticing the missing P, the rush of realizing what it could mean, the anticipation of sending it to be graded, and finally the exhilaration of seeing it cross the auction block for tens of thousands of dollars. That journey, from pocket change to prized collectible, is why stories like the 1982 Roosevelt dime capture people's imagination. And it's not just collectors who care. Auction houses love these coins because they draw attention. News outlets report on their sales, sparking curiosity from people who never considered coins valuable before. Even casual hobbyists are pulled into the hunt, checking their change with renewed interest. The ripple effect of one small minting error continues to be felt decades later, so the next time you see a dime from 1982, don't just toss it aside. Look carefully under the date. If there's no mint mark where there should be, you may be holding one of the most valuable modern dimes in existence. And if that dime is in high-grade condition, you could be looking at a prize worth anywhere between $39,000 and $132,500. That's the beauty of numismatics. The extraordinary hides within the ordinary, waiting for the right eyes to see it. The 1982 Roosevelt dime is living proof that history, rarity, and fortune can come together in the smallest of packages. It reminds us that every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth more than anyone could have imagined. The 1993 United States dime is one of those coins that most people would never stop to think twice about. It's small, silver in color, lightweight, and worth just 10 cents in face value. Millions of them were struck and placed into circulation, where they've been exchanged in grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, and countless pockets across the country for decades. But hidden among those millions of ordinary coins is an extraordinary error variety that has turned the eyes of collectors and treasure hunters alike. And the value of that error dime is not just surprising, it's shocking. Imagine a dime that was supposed to be worth just 10 cents suddenly commanding an auction price between $34,000 and $122,300. That's the reality of the rare 1993 dime error, and it's a story worth telling in detail. To understand why this dime became so legendary, you have to step back and look at the era in which it was minted. The year 1993 was an important time for U.S. coinage. Technology was advancing in the mint, but the machines that struck coins still relied on human oversight. When you're dealing with billions of coins being struck every year, it's almost inevitable that mistakes are going to happen. And those mistakes, while small, create coins that stand apart from the rest. For collectors, those mistakes transform ordinary coins into treasures. The 1993 dime error falls into this exact category. It isn't just rare, it's astronomically rare. It involves mistakes in the minting process that slipped past inspection, resulting in dimes that look strikingly different from the normal issues. Some of the 1993 dime errors are off-center strikes, where the design doesn't fully align with the coin blank. Others involve double dies, where the design elements, like the inscriptions or Roosevelt's profile, appear doubled or distorted. There are also instances of dimes being struck on the wrong planchets, giving them a strange weight or metallic composition. Any of these errors instantly sets a dime apart from the millions of standard issues and elevates its desirability among collectors. What really drives the fascination is the price. Imagine holding a dime in your hand, knowing it cost the government just a few cents to produce. Yet at an auction, that very same dime could sell for as much as $122,300. Even on the lower end, with prices starting around $34,000, the value is life-changing. People dream about finding such coins, and that dream fuels a never-ending hunt through jars of spare change, inherited collections, and rolls of coins from the bank. It's the idea that hidden wealth could be lurking in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice it. Consider how easy it would be to overlook such a coin. Most people use dimes daily without even glancing at the details. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. They're so familiar that our eyes gloss over them. But those details are exactly where the clues to value lie. A misaligned strike, a missing mint mark, a doubling of the date, or even a difference in weight can transform a regular dime into a fortune. The 1993 error dime is a lesson in paying attention, in training your eyes to spot the details others ignore. Auction houses have seen firsthand the frenzy these coins create. When one of the rare 1993 error dimes comes up for sale, the bidding often starts strong and climbs higher with every passing second. Collectors know how few of them exist, and they understand the historical significance behind the minting errors. By the time the auctioneer brings down the gavel, the coin's value often exceeds expectations, landing somewhere between that jaw-dropping $34,000 and $122,300 range. Stories of discovery add to the excitement. Imagine being someone who has been casually saving coins over the years, tossing dimes into a jar without thinking about them. One day, you pour them out and something about one dime catches your eye. Maybe the date looks strange. Maybe the edge doesn't feel quite right. You take it to a coin dealer or an appraiser, and suddenly you're being told that what you thought was worth 10 cents could instead fetch 6 figures. It almost sounds like a fantasy, but it has happened before, and it continues to inspire collectors today. What makes the 1993 dime error even more compelling is that it represents the unexpected. The mint takes great care in ensuring coins are struck correctly. Yet even in modern times, with improved technology, mistakes slip through. Those mistakes are rare enough to be valuable, but they're also human enough to remind us that perfection is impossible. Each 1993 error dime is like a fingerprint of history, a moment where machinery and human oversight intersected in a way no one planned. Collectors treasure this coin not only for its value but also for its uniqueness. Each error tells its own story. One dime might show Roosevelt's face slightly off-center, giving it an almost surreal appearance. Another might display doubled letters on the inscriptions, where Liberty or the date 1993 appears shadowed and distorted. Some might even be struck on planchets meant for other denominations, resulting in odd sizes and weights. Each variety adds to the mystique and fuels the chase to find them all. For those entering the world of coin collecting, the 1993 dime serves as a perfect example of why the hobby is so thrilling. It's not just about gathering coins. It's about the possibility that at any moment, you might stumble upon something extraordinary. It's about the idea that history, chance, and value can collide in the smallest, most unexpected ways. That's why collectors don't just look at their coins. They study them, turning them over, checking for signs of rarity. And let's not forget how the price of $34,000 to $122,300 impacts the perception of this coin. When people hear those numbers, they can't help but imagine what they could do with that kind of money. Pay off debts, buy a car, put a down payment on a house, or even take the trip of a lifetime. The thought that such financial transformation could come from a single dime is what grips audiences and keeps the fascination alive. The 1993 dime error is also part of a larger story about U.S. coinage in the late 20th century. While earlier coins like the wheat penny or silver dimes carry their own charm, the modern errors like the 1993 dime show that valuable mistakes didn't end with older coins. They can happen anytime, even in recent decades, and they remind collectors that every coin, no matter how modern, has the potential to carry hidden worth. The lesson is simple: check your change. Every dime, every penny, Every quarter you come across could hold more than its face value suggests. The rare 1993 dime error has already proven that even the smallest coin can hold life-changing value. With a potential price ranging from $34,000 to $122,300, it stands as one of the most sought-after modern coin errors in existence. So the next time you get a dime back in change, don't just toss it in your pocket or let it disappear into a coin jar. Take a moment to look closely. Check the date. Examine the details. Because what looks like an ordinary Roosevelt dime might just be the discovery of a lifetime. And in that moment, you'd understand why collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters all over the world continue to chase stories like the 1993 dime error. Because sometimes, the smallest coin carries the biggest surprises. In the world of coin collecting, stories of incredible finds are what keep the passion alive. A simple piece of change that most people would dismiss as ordinary can sometimes hold secrets worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. The US 1999 one-dime coin is one of those fascinating examples. At first glance, it looks like every other Roosevelt dime you've ever seen. Tiny, silver-colored, and light enough to slip through your fingers without a thought. But the truth is, some of these dimes carry rare minting errors that make them worth a staggering $32,000 to $116,000 in the hands of the right collector. That kind of discovery doesn't just add excitement to the hobby. It turns an everyday object into a life-changing treasure. To truly appreciate why the 1999 dime has earned its place in the spotlight, we have to step back and look at its origins. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American coinage since 1946, designed by John R. Sinek to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Roosevelt had become an American icon, not only for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, but also for his role in founding the March of Dimes campaign, which sought to combat polio. It was fitting, then, that the dime, the smallest coin in circulation, was chosen to bear his likeness. By 1999, the design was well established and instantly recognizable. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, with the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust," while the reverse displayed a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck, and the average 1999 dime holds only its face value today. But a handful of these coins slipped out of the mint with errors that changed everything. Minting errors have always fascinated collectors. They serve as accidental pieces of history, the byproduct of human or mechanical oversight in a process that usually demands perfection. With the 1999 dime, the most prized errors range from dramatic misstrikes to off-metal strikes. Cases where a dime was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a penny or a foreign coin planchet. Other examples include off-center strikes, multiple strikes, or faint doubling in the inscriptions. These errors are so rare that only a tiny number of them ever escape the mint. But when they do, they carry an allure that cannot be ignored. A collector who stumbles upon one of these mistakes doesn't just own a coin. They own a story, a one-of-a-kind artifact of U.S. minting history. That's why these 1999 error dimes are valued between $32,000 and $116,000, depending on the specific error and the condition of the coin. Think about that contrast for a moment. A dime that could be found rolling under a couch cushion, buried in a jar of change, or passed casually across a counter at the grocery store could actually be worth more than many people's annual salary. Imagine the thrill of realizing that the little coin you almost spent on a cup of coffee could instead cover a down payment on a house or pay off years of debt. That's the magic of coins like the 1999 dime error. They challenge us to pay attention, to look closer, and to remember that value isn't always obvious at first glance. Stories of rare 1999 dimes being discovered have circulated among collectors and casual coin hunters alike. Some have been uncovered during careful coin roll hunting, where dedicated enthusiasts sift through rolls of dimes purchased from banks in the hopes of finding something special. Others have surfaced at estate sales, hidden in old collections that went unnoticed for years. Every discovery adds another layer to the legend, sparking excitement among collectors who know that finding such a coin is like winning the lottery. That, of course, not every 1999 dime is valuable. The vast majority are perfectly ordinary, minted without flaws, and worth just 10 cents. What sets the rare ones apart is both the uniqueness of the error and the condition of the coin. Condition or grade plays a huge role in determining value. A 1999 dime with an error that is crisp, well-preserved, and free of heavy wear will always command a higher price than one that is scratched or heavily circulated. That's why professional grading services like NGC and PCGS are so important. A certified grade not only authenticates the error but also provides assurance to potential buyers that they are investing in something truly extraordinary. Coins in high grades can easily approach that upper range of $116,000. Collectors who pursue coins like the 1999 error dime aren't just looking for a financial investment. They're also chasing history and rarity. Coins tell the story of America, and each error coin adds a twist to that narrative. The 1999 dime comes from the final years of the 20th century, a time of technological boom and cultural change. It represents the transition into a new millennium, and the errors that slipped through that year remind us that even as machines grow more advanced, perfection is never guaranteed. That unpredictability makes these coins even more fascinating. There's also something poetic about the idea that imperfection increases value. In most industries, a mistake is a problem, something to be corrected or discarded. But in the world of coin collecting, a mistake is what makes a coin extraordinary. The flaw becomes the feature. The error becomes the treasure. That's why the 1999 dime error coins are so celebrated. They're accidents that turned into masterpieces of rarity, commanding prices that leave people in awe. Auction houses have played a significant role in elevating the reputation of these dimes. When one surfaces, collectors from around the country, sometimes even internationally, compete fiercely to secure it. The atmosphere at these auctions is electric, with bidding wars driving prices into the tens of thousands. For those lucky enough to own one, it's not just about the money. It's about knowing they have something so few others can claim. For those watching, it's about inspiration, fueling the hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll be the next person to uncover such a treasure. For everyday people, the lesson here is simple. Always check your change. That 1999 dime rattling around in your pocket might just be one of the rarest coins out there. Look closely at the date, study the details, and be alert for anything that seems unusual. Errors like misstrikes, doubling, or off-center designs are usually visible to the naked eye if you know what to look for. It only takes a few extra seconds to examine a coin, but those seconds could make the difference between holding 10 cents and holding up to $116,000. The 1999 dime is a reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight. You don't need to be wealthy to discover one, and you don't need advanced tools to start searching. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a sharp eye. That accessibility is part of what makes coin collecting so special. It's a hobby where anyone, whether a child starting a small collection or an experienced numismatist, has the chance to stumble upon greatness. The story of the 1999 dime also reflects something larger about how we view value in life. Sometimes the things we dismiss as ordinary, the things we overlook or ignore, turn out to be the most extraordinary of all. That's true in coins, and it's true in many other aspects of life. The rare 1999 dime isn't just a collector's item. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that surprises and treasures are often closer than we think. AS collectors continue to hunt for these elusive coins. The legend of the 1999 dime grows stronger. It has already secured its place in numismatic history as one of the most exciting modern era coins. And as time goes on, its rarity will only increase, driving demand and ensuring that values remain high. Whether it sells for $32,000 or $116,000, owning one of these dimes is like holding lightning in your hands. Rare, electrifying, and unforgettable, so the next time you're handed a dime in change, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up to the light, examine its details, and remember the story of the 1999 dime. Because while most of them are worth only 10 cents, a lucky few are priceless treasures, waiting for someone to notice them. And if that someone happens to be you, a single coin could transform an ordinary day into one of the most extraordinary moments of your life.